Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life.
Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here. And Sam, what's up, beautiful humans?
Yo, good morning, my dear. It's good to connect. And I love that you've proposed this topic to us. What are we up to today?
Well, it's the new year. And so everybody is about, as per usual, New Year's resolutions and looking for change in their life, right? What we're going to talk about specifically is stackable, stackable positive impact, which, of course, stacking positive impact will create change. But it's the action. We want to see people taking action and stacking these wins for change.
Yes. Awesome.
So we're
Awesome.
going to come at it just a little differently.
Yeah, and one of the things I just want to layer this in, when we did an episode about this time last year, speaking of resolutions, we mentioned in that episode about National Quitters Day, right?
Oh, yeah. Ooh, isn't it tragic that's even a thing?
It's a thing. Well, I think we all know either we've been the victim of our own, giving up on our resolutions over our lifetime, or we've known people. And there was when I looked it up to see what the date was, and it said people are trying to move it to course correction day. I was like,
Politically correct.
yeah.
Course correction is, how would you explain that to the person who's made a resolution, gets 2 weeks or 3 weeks down the pipeline, and falls off the wagon?
Yeah. Well, last year, the theme of our year was like the pivot year, right? And so pivoting is about, one of my great mentors would say, correct and continue, correct and continue. That's something that like was beaten into my head is like, I think I've said this in another episode about like the space shuttle, when it takes off of Earth and it heads towards the moon or its destination, it's off course like 99.97% of the time. It's constantly micro course corrections all the way to the moon, right?
That's cool.
And
That's a
so,
great analogy.
but it's still going to get to the moon. It's like, oh no, we're off course. Oh, just let it go. We'll just let it end up in Jupiter or whatever.
You know, I watch a lot of documentaries of adventurous humans, and for some reason, the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of water related, maybe because I was training for Army, I'm doing all that swimming, but open water swimmers and also people doing sailing and boating adventures and stuff like that. Same thing. There is no one way through the ocean across the planet, whether you're going there in your body or in a boat, to get to the other side, to the destination, to the goal, to the target.
Yeah.
Constant course correcting. That's just life.
Yeah, and one analogy I like to use when my clients would come to me with habit change or whatnot, and we've talked about this before, is like we think like, oh yeah, we could just change on a dime, like a speedboat. You're just cruising through life. You got this bird. I'm just gonna course correct. I want to go over here now, right? Yeah, you want to get to a new destination, but our life tends to be, because we have this thing called the subconscious mind that is largely running the show, right? It's built on old paradigms, old beliefs, a lot of, habituated things that we've indoctrinated into it. It's more like a cruise liner. It moves a little more gently than a speedboat, right? And so when you see that you're off course or whatnot, you're not trying to change it or make it wrong that it's a little off course. Like, no, we're just going to gently keep guiding it. Right?
Yeah. And just reminding people before we get into the weeds here, it's an inside job, people.
100%. 100%.
Nothing happens without you, the person, doing all the things. Nobody's doing this for you. This is your life, your body, your brain. Get on board. Let's get started, darling. And I want you to kick us off with vision and a compelling future.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about creating lasting, sustainable, stacked change is like the root of it is identity change, right? And so if you just think you're going to change one thing about your life and you're going to leave, with your old identity, it's just, if you want lasting change, and if it's something, we're not just talking about like, I want to floss at night. I'm talking about like a change in your life that will have a big impact on your life. You want to change a career or a relationship that aren't working or your health or something like that. A little bit bigger than just the small, tiny little habits. But in order to do that, it's often the lasting change needs to start with a change in identity. As you said, the inner work of how we see ourselves. And so when we have what Tony Robbins likes to call a blueprint, which is stacks of beliefs, the way that we should be, the things that, create the life that we have, and we have pain or frustration, or our life doesn't feel like it's working, is like we probably have an old blueprint at play here. It's like, oh, like I had one, I'll just give an example for me, is like
Okay.
I got frustrated with my mom and relationship with her, and I had this paradigm like to be a good daughter. Right.
Mm,
And so wherever that came from, we don't need to go into that. But like I had this, like running the show behind the scenes in my subconscious was, oh, I have to be a good daughter, be a good daughter. And it created a lot of frustration for me with expectations I was trying to meet up to, how many times I should see her and how I should care for her and I should call her and communication and all this stuff. And I would get this frustration and just angst because it wasn't workable, right? And so either I needed to change, I needed to get on board with being a good daughter, but instead I took out that old belief and I examined it. And I went,
mhm,
I'm living under this blueprint that I think I've inherited, from our society
mhm,
about being a good daughter. And I was just living as if that's how I wanted my role in my relationship to be with my mom. And I said, wait a minute, if that wasn't true, if I examine that and I say, that's not, I took it apart, said, what about it do I like and what do I want to keep? Created a new compelling future, compelling vision that served me, hopefully served her better as well.
mm,
And then I live into that, right? And so part of what I'm saying is if your blueprint is out of date and you're feeling the frustration because you're trying to live into a role or something that, should do, whatever, maybe it's not even true for you. So
mhm,
examine it, take it out, and then reinvent, right? And so
mhm,
creating ultimately the compelling future that you want. It's like I want a loving relationship with myself and my mom's in my life, not, she's the focus of my world, if you will. And if I'm not meeting these expectations I think I should have deemed by quote society, then I'm not being a good daughter. I just
mhm.
broke it all apart. So I think I was
I
talking about a couple of things in there at the same time. So
Yeah, I have an example that just happened yesterday talking with a woman who has two young kids, married, professional gal, and she found out I was an iron woman and basically was just like, I just, kind of couldn't comprehend all the things. And I said, well,
mm,
have you ever in yourself been a runner or a swimmer or a biker? And she's like, oh yeah, when I was younger, I rode a bike and I actually did a triathlon once and blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you're a triathlete. Like, this isn't
mm,
leaps and bounds. And then we had this conversation for about half an hour about how she had shifted her identity from being a active, fit, athletic, young person and then college years into a married professional mother. And now this was my identity, and I'm now stuck in this identity until
mm,
these kids grow up. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I mean, first of all, that's who you are. You've already had some of these experiences. They're in there, right? Doesn't matter how long ago. Lots of people used to be athletic when they were younger. They still have those capabilities in midlife and older, but abandoning an identity and moving into another identity, like now I'm a mother, so this is what I'll be doing with all my spare time.
mm, mm,
I really challenged her to examine this sense of fixed, boxed identity for this junction in her life. And then, at the end of the conversation, and this only really took about 30 minutes, she was going home to dust off her old road bike and
mm.
start riding and consider doing the Palm Springs Century that's happening in February, or at least doing the 25 miler. And
Yeah.
I was so stoked for her. And it's funny because her kids were running around and the husband would sort of walk by and why is he still talking to this lady? And like, it was just this interesting space we were in. Um, but then when he kind of came back, I said, hey, she's dusting off her bike. She's going to go on a bike ride this weekend. He's like, you are? You know,
Right.
but it was cool, like just to see the shift. And it was very,
Mm,
sometimes it doesn't take much for
mhm,
people to have a moment, and we're just inviting the audience right now to have
mhm,
a moment to reflect on past identities,
mm,
current identities, and compelling future identities.
mhm. Yeah, and it starts with noticing, oftentimes, I'm not sure what had her start that conversation with you. I don't know, oftentimes our coaching clients come with a big pain or a big
Mm.
frustration, like there's like something is unworkable in their life, right? Like out of shape or not making the
I have
money.
to tell you what started the conversation. She was looking at the bike jerseys and the
Ah,
the outfits in
yeah.
this retail environment that had bike clothing, apparel. And she's like, oh, that's so cute. I'm like, well, you should get one. She's like, well, I don't ride a bike anymore, so I
Mm.
can't get the bike jersey. That's what started the conversation. I was like, oh, hell no. I
You're
no, you and me, lady. Anyway, go
going
ahead.
in, going in, going
Going
in.
in.
Didn't even know. She's like, I'm just here doing a little shopping. Didn't know you were going to run into Coach Sam, like intervention in the middle of a store, a grocery store. Careful, people. Sam at a coffee shop. She'll get on you.
Yeah, now it's REI interventions. Watch out.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay,
Totally.
so how do our audience, how do they build a compelling future for themselves? Compelling
Yeah.
vision.
Well, there's many different ways you can start this. So one of them is something I've done before is like oftentimes well, your little scenario is more reflective. It's
Mm.
like, oh, I remember a time when I already did that, right? And so that
Yeah.
was easy for her to go, "Man, I really enjoyed being a biker or reminiscing about something like that." The other obvious way is like you make a list of the things that aren't working in that
Okay.
area of your life. You could say like, I can't walk up a flight of stairs, or I can't play with my kids, or whatever the pain points are. And
Mhm.
oftentimes the compelling future is just on the other side of that. So then what would be it starts to help you mold or inform what the compelling future looks like. So
So let's say you're broke. People who have come out of these holidays, spent too much money, racked up credit cards. I'm basically talking about, 95% of the population.
mm,
And now we're in January and the bills are going to start rolling in and cash is going to get really tight and it's super uncomfortable and it feels like crap and
yeah.
it's a lack of freedom. What's a compelling vision that somebody could build to get themselves out of that?
It really depends on each person, right? So some people that might just be like, oh, I paid off my credit card in January. Like it might be simple, right? But some people it might be they need to allocate, like I said, each one is custom tailored to where that person is. So it's them defining for themselves, well, where do I want to be? Like this mountain of debt. And, I've been in mountains of debt before and it
Oh,
ain't
hell yeah.
doesn't, I mean, it's like months, I'm a pay my credit card every month kind of person. I don't carry debt, but I did have a period of time where I did some bad investments and then anyway. So
Same, same.
yeah, and so you chunk away at it, right? That's one area. That's one way you can do it. But it's really defined by when you and I've done the wheel of life with people, right? You can kind of look at that area of your life and you just by examining it, by just sitting with yourself and going, what doesn't feel good in this area? Is it my spiritual connection is weak? Is it I'm not spending time on self-investing? Is it I want to learn a new skill? Is it I want to create deeper relationships and connection with people? It's often right below the surface what they really want, right?
Mhm.
Because they wouldn't feel the friction in their body if they weren't clear with it. It's like, okay, and sometimes, being asked by a coach, well, what would that give you? Or why do you want that? Or why do you want that? Sometimes just a few additional whys will tell you where you're going and why you want something. The how, that's just as varied as there
That,
are.
yeah,
Yeah,
lots of
like,
ways to skin that cat.
yeah.
With the
So,
compelling future pieces, you can taste, see, hear, feel what it likes to be, in this instances,
yeah.
debt free or healthy and fit,
Hmm.
or in a deep relationship with others,
Hmm.
or traveling the globe,
Yeah.
free as a bird.
And I like visual for a lot of people because we
Okay.
are highly influenced by our environment. So having people, I've done vision boards for years. Having something on your phone, if you're like, oh, I want to take a trip, or I want to have, like, I used to send my beloved pictures every morning of, you know, sweet pictures of people in relationship, so it like created that bond and that repetition, like reinforcing, like, I care about you and stuff, right?
Mm.
So whatever it works best for them, but often visual. So I see people, put up signs around their house or their office or whatever that reinforces where you're going, right?
Mm.
If you want to be in that future, and then you can trickle it down into daily rituals and morning processes. I used to do in my morning process, going into that life experience and embodying it. So
Ooh.
you sit for a few minutes and you just feel like there's this Greg Braden is a beautiful teacher, and he and Joe Dispenza have created the Heart Math Institute. And one of their processes that Greg Braden talks about is he was taught by some shamans in rural, I think it was New Mexico, on an Indian reservation. And he has this thing I like, there's a video online, you can go to Greg Braden, and it's called Pray for Rain, right? And
Oh.
what the shaman taught him was they were having massive droughts in this time in New Mexico. And this shaman was like, hey, why don't you come up the mountain with me? And I'm going to do a pray for rain ceremony, and we'll help our area heal, bring water to our crops and stuff like that. So Greg Braden hikes up with him, and they go to this, sacred area. And he goes, okay, I'm just going to, do the ceremony. He walks away he says, Greg was like, it felt like it was like less than 5 minutes. He's back. He's like, okay, you want to get a sandwich? He's like, what the hell? What did you just do? And he goes, well, tell me. He goes, did you ask for rain? He's like, no, 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 you don't ask for rain. He goes, I sat in the experience of rain.
Mm.
He's like, I felt rain coming down on the ground and playing in puddles, and, feeling rain on my skin. And, and so it's the prayer for rain is like you experience it, you get what you are, not what you want, right?
Mm.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So that's a little
Mm.
sidebar. But like in your experience of your compelling future, it's like if you see yourself traveling to far off places, like what would that feel like? Can you imagine yourself on the plane? Can you imagine yourself interacting with people and new tastes and smells, or the gratitude and appreciation of being in a loving, healthy relationship, or a body that feels better, or something like that?
Mhm, mhm.
Um,
So we're really talking a lot about mindset here
mm,
and this whole sort of category that we're in. It obviously requires making space in your brain for this activity, making time,
mm,
creating awareness about it all. But
mhm,
it's sort of the number one step when we're talking about stacking
mhm.
positive behaviors for change.
Well, I wonder with you, I think about the times when you were struggling with the health challenges that you had, years ago, and it didn't feel good to be in your body. Do you just getting off the couch,
Believe me.
right? Right?
No, it didn't.
How did you create something out of that? How did those, kind of dark days of the soul, dark nights of the soul create something that you could reach for?
Mhm. I don't know that I spent a lot of time, or at least had awareness around building a compelling future for myself, because I really didn't know what was possible. I didn't
Mhm.
wasn't surrounded by people that I could
Yeah,
emulate or have mentoring me. It wasn't really a
yeah.
lifestyle I grew up in, et cetera, et cetera. So that wasn't really something. I mean, maybe except for going to the gym and being like, hey, that person looks fit or whatever. But even really, I don't remember doing too much of that. For me,
Mhm.
it was more misery is pretty horrible.
Hmm.
Suffering is horrible. So, for me, it was kind of like this is not how I can continue. So if I plan to continue alive in this body on this planet right now, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
If I don't plan on continuing, then just keep on trucking along.
Totally.
So that's what it was.
And I think where a lot of coaching world and people listening to podcasts like this, we bring to people's awareness something that is available. These things
Mhm.
that we're talking about is like, yeah, I can remember in my eating disorder days, I didn't have a compelling future.
Right.
It was like day in, day out on the hamster wheel.
Minute to minute, hour to
Yeah.
hour.
Something you mentioned that I just want to leverage also is like you didn't have anything around you, right? And
Yeah.
so part of it is like finding those models, finding like just going to the gym. Like I've gone into the gym and I've seen people with a level of fitness, or, care how they carry themselves, or even in in business, like somebody stands up
Mhm.
taller, a woman who speaks her voice in a meeting or something like that. Like you see great modeling, and then it's like, oh, right.
Well,
So
that takes us to our second stack.
get
And when
on
I say stack, I'm envisioning all these alpha blocks,
it.
like when you're a little
Mhm.
kid, or
Yeah.
bricks or Legos or whatever your experience is with the building of things, right? And in the mindset blocks, there's a lot of different aspects to building the right mindset. And then the
Mm.
second stack of blocks, if you will, is your environment that you're living in.
Yeah.
And you immediately went into, find people that you can emulate, get around them. So to me, the blocks in this environmental component are friends and family,
Hmm.
your home space, your workspace, and then your environment that you're exposing yourself to through your eyes, your ears, etc. So let's kind of dig into that. So you're talking specifically about the humans you surround yourself with and the
Mhm.
amount of influence they have, positive or
Mhm.
negative, towards you creating the life that you want.
Yeah, and you can have small steps in this and bigger ones. You and I have both done, either one-on-one coaching. We've been coached by people, whether it's an athletic coach to, help us get there faster. That's a huge, wonderful influence. If you had any sports that you played in
Mhm.
your younger years, you were influenced by your coach, like, kicking your ass to, improve or
Yeah,
whatnot. And some of it is the people you hang around with, like you said, even toxic or uh, not toxic,
massive,
family
massive
members.
influence.
Yes, yes. And then you can pay to be around the people that you want to be with also, whether, so like I joined a gym because I like the quality of the people that go there, not just the workouts, but also the quality of the people feels good to me. You
Mhm.
can pay for mastermind groups or, communities or, events, go to events and places. So you can, listen either to speakers or just be around the network of people doing what you do, if you will.
And you can have honest conversations with yourself. You don't have to say these things out loud, by the way, about environments you're going into that are not working, that are
Oh.
pulling you backwards, holding you down, stopping you from your potential. It can be your partner, it can be your family, it can be your workspace, it can be your play space, your old friendships, whatever. The amount of influence that that has on you has to be recognized, and if you want to really do sustainable change,
Mhm.
these things that we're talking about, it's no joke. You've got to change those things.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I would add that I've become more aware of in the last few years as I've been just studying energy and vibration and I just call it sound frequency as well is that which you spend the most amount of time with, like on a daily basis. Like it's nice like once a year to go to on a fancy retreat or something, or once,
Mhm.
every so often hang out with quality people or something. But if you don't change the daily vibration, like that which you're hanging out, like I notice some people like to just turn on the radio and listen to whatever's on, right? And I am hyper selective. Like,
Do people do that?
right? You're like, I don't even.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, that just shocks me, but I guess you're right.
well,
I know people do that with the
I
news,
was
and
just gonna
that
say,
makes me crazy. Anyway, go
yes.
ahead, finish your story.
No, no, no. Just saying, that which you're allowing in your vibration, your frequent, like people
Yeah.
don't know that what's coming out of the news, your body is taking in at multiple levels, right? It's not just the words on the screen, the picture. It's like the energy of what's being broadcast is becoming a part of you if you understand, metaphysics. So if
Mhm.
you are aware, that you're not feeling good or just the amount of negative energy that's coming into your space, if you don't clear that space, if you don't set the vibration, if you don't set the tone, the energy of the people you allow in, both immediately physical or the influences media wise, right?
Mhm.
I think people are largely, they just brush it off like it doesn't matter, or yeah, I've got to stay informed or whatever. It's like, oh, it's like watering a
You got to
flower.
stay informed, all right, about what the hell's going on inside of you.
Yeah, that's the most
People
important.
listen to all this external, but the amount of time they invest in listening to the internal, the inside job,
Mhm.
which is your highest priority. Knowing thyself is the ultimate gift and power for creating
Mhm.
any life that you want.
Mhm.
So, yeah, might want to turn those volumes down a few notches, might want to turn that off and listen to the inside.
And I think as people notice, like there's a mm, thermostat, let's say, like we know our
Okay.
body's supposed to be at a certain temperature. And when we have
Yeah.
a fever, it's a
Ah,
sign like
yeah.
there's just, right? But I mean, like, metaphysically, what's going on is the body's out of frequency. It's got, stuff congested in it. It's got, resistance inside. And so if we're not paying close attention, the thermostat, the energy frequency thermostat either gets low, our vibration lowers, if you will,
Depressed.
which causes immune deficiency, and all that, you suppress your immune system, you're just
Mhm.
rampant for something coming in. So we kind of have to look at that energy frequency and the frequency we allow in our life and in our space, like that thermostat, if we start to, it starts to get over, we'll go into sickness, and the body tries to retaliate. So,
Or that anxiety, that brrr, same thing. It can go up or down
yeah,
and out of what you're basically describing as homeostasis for the body, the brain, the
yeah,
energetic system.
yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah. So your environment is, you are a creature of your environment. And I
Yeah.
remember one time talking with another trainer in the world of eating disorders, and she didn't believe that people, she thought it was all like mentally, internally, we could just, stop a habit or stop an addiction and stuff. And I'm like, oh, hell, what? Like,
Based on just pure motivation that
yeah,
people don't have, that is fleeting and not even
yeah, yeah.
like a
Like,
viable source of any energy or
well, and that's like, I think you do this in your life, and I do it as best I can in mine. Is like you talked about your home space. It's like, what do you have in your fridge? What do you have in your cupboards? Do you have the tools that you need in your computer to do your work? Do you have the resources you need to have a healthy lifestyle in your fridge? And do you have running shoes in your closet? Whatever it is, right? Do you have what you need? And are you supporting yourself with those things and getting rid of the things that aren't supportive?
well, this goes into the next
Ding, ding,
thing.
ding.
Lifestyle habits and actions.
Yeah.
Okay, so, oh man, there's so much under this umbrella.
Um,
Um, you know, being a learner, being a creator, being growth oriented, like what's the lifestyle that you want to lead that will create this path towards you achieving your goals and sustainable change, and
mhm,
building a whole bunch of habits and actions around that. So like you're talking about actionable items, like in your space, have the tools you need to make a healthy lunch, or to get your buns into the gym, or to, have connection with the people that you love, like setting up things and making them easy,
mhm.
right? Making
Yeah.
them within reach, making them where you don't require mounds of motivation to make the thing happen. How can
Mhm,
you just make it smooth and have less resistance around doing the right thing, in air
mhm.
quotes?
Well, the one thing I wanted to touch upon as you were saying all that is the three words that I learned with Tony Robbins: decide, commit, and resolve, right? And so that's somewhat of the foundation that you step into making these changes, putting it into action. So we talked in the beginning about like the compelling future. So it's like, get clear, right? Get clear what you want, decide that you're going to have it, right? Like, first is like, oh, why don't I have the body I want, the relationship I want? Okay, it's because I'm doing these things or whatever. You spend that clarifying time with your future vision, what needs to go, what needs to be added. You decide, you commit to it, resolve that it's done, like I'm doing this, right? And then I think once you have that clarity, like I was going to bring up this example of when I decided to, and this was like a trickle down of things. I got divorced, sold my house, and I, was getting my RV and was going to start traveling. It was like the compelling future of being in that RV for 30 days or more was like,
Boom.
y'all better get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Unstoppable.
and then and I remember it came down to this moment where my ex-husband and I, we were talking about the house and whatever, I'd have to pay him off in order to keep it. And I was like, wow, what would that compelling future look like? Is I'd have to keep this job that I wasn't, I wasn't loving. I'd have to pay him all this money for so long, to pay him off and blah, blah, blah. And it was just like the compelling future just wasn't there. And I said, or I could sell the house, divorce him, and quit the job and be in the RV in like 30 days. I was like, I'm doing that.
Yes,
Right?
please.
Yeah. And it was the answers and what to do after that were
Yeah.
just, it was clear. It was clear.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, divorce, okay, selling the house. There was no second, like, oh shit, should I be, maybe had some questions later, like, damn, that was, but in that moment, it like the decision and the commitment and the resolve guide you to all those steps. You don't need that like compelling willpower, if you will.
Mhm.
How about
If you
you?
have a compelling future, you don't need the compelling willpower. It's like if you have great clarity on where you're going, the steps, the daily stackable,
Mhm.
actionable items and steps toward, and habits, obviously, towards getting there are so much easier, and you
Mm.
have clarity there. I mean, people are very intelligent. They actually pretty much know what they need to do,
Mhm.
right? Which I want to just step back for a hot second and point out something really obvious, which is, once you become more aware about what you're trying to achieve with your life and who you are as a human being, a lot of reasons I've seen people struggle and not achieve or sustain change and not achieve their goals is because they don't trust themselves, because they've
Mm.
let themselves down in the past. And so there's this whole like setup, if you will, and New Year's resolutions are famous for this whole thing just continuing to recirculate out in the world.
Yeah.
They set some goal and then they go on about it and then they don't for a day or for a week or for even a month or whatever. And so they've routinely let themselves down. They no longer trust themselves to make the right decisions, take the right actions. And that's a bit of a pothole in this whole thing, isn't it?
I can't agree more. I would say if you're facing that phase of your life, that's your compelling future, is getting to be a person of integrity with yourself.
Ooh,
Like you got to start,
hello.
you
Say
got to,
that again.
yeah, like if you're out of integrity with yourself, that's your homework. That's your
Shoot,
that's your first step. Like fuck all the rest of the stuff. You got to get in
you're
integrity
right.
with yourself, man. And
If you
I
don't fill in the pothole, you
yeah,
cannot drive down the road,
you have to be a person of your word with yourself. If you
above all.
like that is, I'm getting children, like my body is like wants to scream this because I've lived this from an addictive standpoint, 20 years of addiction of not being my word with, at night doing all these, bad behaviors that I just felt gross and then going, I'm not going to do this tomorrow. And the next day getting up and fucking doing it again and again and
Mm,
again. I
mm,
stopped trying. I was like, I'm just not a person that can do this, right? And I was like, I had to get super clear with myself, the level of integrity, like one of my teachers is my word is law in the universe.
mm,
When I started living that, I mean, if you take that down a few layers, and we don't have the time to go into that whole thing, but like you are your word,
mhm.
like being your word, not only for other people, but to yourself, the most important person in your life. When
Exactly.
when you are in integrity with yourself, like then you can tackle, oh yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing like me, like, oh yeah, I'm divorcing that and I'm going there. Like I was already had the foundation from a few years of like being my word with myself. That I make that decision, that's happening,
Mm.
right?
And getting people to understand that that is the number one. It's
Mm,
above everything and all things that we're discussing, or any book is telling you, or podcast, or whatever the hell program you're currently, chummed up with trying to get through
mhm.
this new year. If you don't have that, you cannot begin.
Yeah. Self-trust.
Yeah.
Now, where I want to walk the line, because I know people are already thinking in the back of their mind, like, well, like, sometimes I don't do exactly that. And you and I are not perfect. I'm not saying that like that there's like this
Ah,
blade of like
no.
you're either 100% or you're not. Like but my level of variance of when I say I am and I'm not to myself is so thin. Like I don't give myself these gaps because that gap, like you said, just grows into being out of integrity with yourself. You can't trust yourself. Oh yeah, I said that 10 times and I never do it. I'm a procrastinator. I don't keep my word. I never show up, whatever. It's like, no, 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 no. And you got to start tightening those in kind of small micro ways where it starts, I want to say that I'm saying microwave, but micro ways,
Yeah.
and that's like showing up on time for every appointment for
Mm,
30 days, never being late. Like that's where
mhm,
you start to be your word, or you say you're going to go to the gym, 30 days in a row. Like, yeah, like I did 75 hard a couple times recently. It's like 75 days you do everything that you say you're going to do, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
it's that muscle of self-trust. So I'm beating the horse here, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, we should tag on to that. Like, we're not saying about being perfect, judging yourself, feeling guilty, punishing yourself, doing all these things that are really, that could be a negative cycle. We're talking about if you are committed to being a healthy, fit person, then you're on the journey of building your health and fitness. And so then you make decisions and you take actions along that path.
Yeah.
right? We're not saying that means 7 days a week at the gym. We're not setting bizarre standards nobody can achieve and setting ourselves up and each other for failure. We're saying
Mhm.
we're on the path. And if we're
Mhm.
on the path, we're committed to the growth in the direction of our goals,
Mhm.
right? And whether it's nutrition or whether it is finances, relationships, career path, or whatever, this is all is, relevant to that. There's no on bizarre standard that somebody sets for you that is an external idea that somebody says, well, you'll be successful if XYZ. This is your path. You're determining
Yeah.
the outcomes. And so saying to yourself and entrusting in your own word, I'm going to stay on this path.
Mhm.
I'm going to continue this process.
Mhm.
Some days and some weeks, you're going to do certain behaviors along the path, and other times you're going to do other behaviors. But in general, you're going to stay on the path.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think, the thermostat on that or the meter for yourself is when you're out of integrity with yourself,
Mhm.
right? And so it's I forget there's like someone that talks about like, you miss one day, but you never miss two kind of thing, right? So it's like you clean, so in my world, integrity is like you keep your promise to yourself, and if you don't, you clean it up, right? It's like, oh, I was out of integrity, but you true it up, like, and
Mhm.
it's not like there's like you said, no perfection or never a reason like, oh, I chose to do this instead of that. And it's not justified as in lazy, but it's justified like you're in integrity with yourself. It's not a
Mhm.
cop out. It's not a, mm, because when you're lying to other people, when you're lying to
Yeah,
yourself. Like
totally,
there's an easy line here with what we're talking about, right? So,
totally, totally.
yeah. All right.
In general, I eat healthy during the
Mhm.
holidays or during special occasions or whatever. I like to indulge in a bunch of other random things that are not part of my whatever
Usual.
regular.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I come to the end of that cycle, whatever it is, and they leave the building.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know how all these chips and cookies and that, well, of course I know I bought them, got into the house, but they'll be leaving now
Mhm.
and not through the vehicle called my mouth. They'll just be leaving now. Bye. And then just giving myself the grace and the self
Yeah.
awareness and self compassion and all that to be like, okay, well, that was a moment. Was it fun? Good. I hope you had a good time. I'm talking to myself.
Mhm.
But that's not part of your normal path.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
next,
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty. I don't feel shame. I don't feel anything around that. I just feel like, okay, the holidays are over. Next, get
Back
back on
on
the path.
totally. And I do like a ninety
Good.
ten for my year. It's
Oh,
like,
okay. Hmm.
so, especially around the eating disorder coaching I used to help people with. I mean, there can be some serious strictness that people with eating disorders can
Oh,
put
yeah.
themselves to some standards of like, the word healthy and
Ooh.
clean eating and stuff like that. And it's like, if you don't fit into this tiny little band or if you don't do it perfectly, then the whole world crashes. And it's like,
Mm.
I live in the world of 90-10, and sometimes I live in 95-5, It's like, especially during training time,
Mhm,
it's like
mhm.
95-5, I can't mess around. So I think what we're trying to say is like, once you know where you're going, you have those little wins. So when people used to come to me for eating disorder coaching and they're just like I had been, you had just eroded that self-trust down to just a sliver, like, almost like, yeah, I don't believe you at all, right? um it's little wins, right? And so it's like you said, those 5 minutes, the small tasks, the small
Mhm.
commitments that, at first you're like, this is never going to do anything, but it's like, yeah, it's going to do something, right? It's going to win you back with yourself.
5-minute increments of your time
Yeah.
over your life, stackable,
Yeah.
create hours, days, weeks, months, and years.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
is stackable, you know?
Totally. Totally.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get on to leaving our audience with some what to do and what not to do if you're
Mhm.
trying to make this sustainable. So I've got a list of, should I read the don'ts or the do's first?
Do the don'ts. Yeah.
Okay. Do not punish yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do not judge yourself.
Mm.
Do not burden yourself with guilt. And whatever you do, don't give up your power,
Mm.
your
Mm.
personal agency over your life.
And I love that you said all of those. And I just want to say, guess what? You're probably going to do all of those, but have the compassion with yourself when you do it, right? Because
Hmm.
I could raise my hand and say, yeah, I've done all of that when I'm trying to make change, right? And so if you find yourself dipping or falling into, I judge myself or I made myself wrong, guess what? It's your mind that's doing it. It's not you truly, your soul's essence. Bring
Mm.
back the soul's essence and have layer compassion on that. Like, damn, I didn't do that. And instead, like you said in the beginning, instead of like throwing it all away and like giving up on the goal, it's like the compassion to recommit, the compassion to see yourself differently, the compassion to see that vision is still possible. It still exists for you.
Yeah, and for me as a longtime coach with lots of different humans, whether it's in the fitness space or whatever, all the things called life. I so many times have seen and heard and witnessed people being in environments where they're really hoping for change, they're wanting change, and they're giving their power to the other human, the coach, the family, the parent, the partner, or whatever, to help them make this change happen for them. And they get into environments that are not healthy, where punishment, judgment, guilt, and all those things
Mm.
are festering. They're festering. So I guess for me saying these don'ts, yes, it's you doing it to you, but please don't be in these spaces. Have enough awareness that, wow, that person or this environment really doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel shame and guilt. And I feel like when that coach talks to me, or when my parent or loved one or whoever talks to me, my friends, they're making me feel more guilt or more shame. I feel
Yeah,
like there's a punishment cycle here. Don't sign up for that shit.
totally.
Don't
Yeah,
sign up
just be
for
like, I'll be leaving now. One of the things
it.
as you
Mhm.
said that I was thinking about is oh, it just was there and hold on, it just left. It's oh shoot. It left. It was like
That's
right
all
on the
right.
tip of my tongue. So you were
It'll
talking about
come
the
back.
environments. Oh, so I've talked about changes. It's challenging in the beginning, it's messy in the middle, and it's beautiful at the end, right? And so
Mhm.
in the beginning, there's challenges, right? And you have the least amount of willpower, the least amount of like belief in this thing. You're like, I think I can. It's like trying to ride a bike in the very beginning. It's like it's wobbly. You're like,
Mm.
the last thing you want is people to push you over or, be like,
Exactly.
who do you think you are? And
Put
oh, you're trying.
obstacles in your way.
Yeah, like here, let me, like flatten your tire or whatever. It's like, God
Mhm.
damn it, So in those wobbly times, until you have that self-resolve, that self-trust, that, I think I can do this. Like, I think I'm getting the hang of this. And guess what? It will take probably, depending on the goal or the outcome that you have, it could take 30 days, 60 days, depending if it's a new habit to get established. And in those early days, you're vulnerable, not only to
Mhm.
yourself in that quitter's day kind of mentality, like whatever, but like yeah, your outer environment as well. So get a little bubble. You and I love being our own little bubbles about like, oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
head down, this is you with you, or get around people that fully, cheerlead and support what you're up to, not tear you down or judge you or.
exactly. So that's the don't list. Here's the do list. Make it easy.
Mm,
Create rules, or a rule or a promise to yourself to
mm,
build that trust. Build self-awareness, self-worth, and self-trust. Doubling, clicking on all of that. And then if you're stuck, pause, unpack, and release it, or get support.
mm.
Don't surrender or give up on yourself.
And something that just has been jumping out at me during this is I want to say the word courage,
Mm.
right? So Um, you only have courage when you're afraid of something. If you're not afraid, then it doesn't take courage to do it. You just do it, right? So challenge yourself to be courageous because change is often hard. You're facing uncertainty in the brain and that uncertainty, that unknown, like, what if I fail? What if this happens? I don't know what's beyond what I've done because I've only done what I've known. If you're making change, expect it to be a vulnerable time. So surround yourself with a bubble of like love and compassion, yourself and others. And then also like know that there's going to probably be moments of courage. When I created that goal to be in my RV for, and traveling and stuff, there was micro moments that I was navigating through that where I had to go, holy crap, am I going what? And what am I doing? And I had to call on that inner courage and go, you know what? I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to keep doing it because I had that commitment and that resolve. This is where I'm going. This is the compelling future I'm committed to. So just know you know, the universe, your old beliefs, your old life, like they were still there. They don't just go away like in an instant unless you have something traumatic happen or lobotomy. So like you're gonna bump up against some old ways of being, some things that want to pull you back, some old people in your life that want you to stay the same. So it's going to
Exactly.
call upon a level of muscle inside of yourself. And I believe if you want this change and it wants you, like the reason why you have this vision is you deserve it. And this is already actually the outcome for you in a metaphysical way. So, like, just knowing those moments are going to be called upon to be brave, to be courageous, and act and do it, right? And just like you and Sam and I were here to say, like, hit the fucking gas pedal, do that thing, like, keep going. It's worth it on the other side.
Exactly. So many big, audacious goals. All of them are started
Mm.
this little thing over here. I mean, I've had now, what, 8 businesses? I mean, okay, they started from, oh, I have this crazy idea. I wonder if, then maybe do. Oh no, that wasn't right. Right. And then stacking, stacking, stacking. And then, oh, there's
Yeah.
a business. Oh, hey, we're done. And just going with it and being part of it, like being so in it and, taking
Mm,
the punches, but then also rising up and being like,
mm,
check this out, right? Like
mm,
also giving yourself the
mm,
love of
mm.
when you do accomplish the micro 5 minutes or the giant wins, freaking stack the wins. I don't care how small they are, how infrequent or frequent,
Yeah.
stack the wins and give yourself
Mm,
that, like, hell yeah. I mean, how many
mm.
people tell themselves on the daily, hell yeah? I tell lots of other people that, but sometimes I'm driving down the road being like, hell yeah, check me out.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's what I need that day. I've reminded myself, or we
Yeah.
remind each other frequently, like,
Yeah.
hey, look at that cool shit you did. Were you even aware? Or
Mhm.
remember that thing or whatever? Like,
Mhm.
be up in that and surround yourself with those people.
Yeah.
Oh man, it gets a lot easier.
Sharing wins has such momentum, such
A lot
momentum.
easier. Yeah.
High fives all around, even small, like, and that person that can be in your life that can help dust you off when you had the day that didn't go as planned. And it's like, you can do that, you can do it tomorrow, you've got this, keep going. Having
Hmm.
those people in your life as well to cheerlead, to pick you up when you don't feel it or whatnot. Like, yeah, like having partners, friends, collaborators, coaches, cheerleaders, whatever it is, community to get through this
So
change.
good.
So good.
I have a closing idea for ready.
Yeah, what's our one thing?
For me, it's just do the next right thing. And when I say right thing, it's
Mhm.
whatever that is for you. That's not there's a right and a wrong way.
Yeah,
What is my next move?
yeah.
So no matter what just transpired today, this week, this month, this year, that's the past. I can do nothing about it.
Mm,
But right now, I can make the next right move. And when I
mhm.
say stackable, you stack the next right move on top of the next right move on top of the next right move. Dude, that's the
Guess what?
magic.
Guess what? You're in a new place in your whole life, you know?
Literally. No,
Totally.
you.
I love it. I love it. All right, what do we
Okay,
want to
lady.
remind our beautiful humans of today before we close out? What do you want to say?
Oh, how your life
Feels.
feels is so much more important than how it looks.
And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.
Nice work,
Woohoo.
lady. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.